Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's funny that you would start a conversation about Islam, talking about the misconceptions and all these false ideas or topics that we see everywhere. Because, funny enough, Islam is one of the biggest religion on earth, if not the biggest, but still is one of the most unknown religion or misunderstood religions in the world. So we are very familiar with the things that are supposedly wrong with Islam, but people seldom talk about the things that are right about Islam, the positive sides of Islam, if there are any negative ones. So fine, why religion? By the way, these terms that we are going to handle in this conversation are English terms, and inevitably they were coined by Westerners. So religion comes from religio in Latin. It has its connotation, it has its meaning, the different meanings. In Arabic, we handle different terms, different vocab. When we talk about Islam, we talk about deen, which is different. It's not the same religio or religion as deen. Deen comes from an idea. Deen is also connected to dain. So a dain is a debt. So in some sense, we are born with a debt already to our Creator. You are born with, we call them in Spanish, red numbers, which means your account is in negative, numbers. So you owe something. To who? To another human being? Yes, you owe a lot to your parents, to other people, yes. But above all those people, nobody would say, I owe my parents absolutely nothing. My mother, my father, that would be not just rude, it would be inhumane. Yeah? We wouldn't approve that. So what about your Creator? Or did you create yourself? Or did you just emerge out of nothingness? No. If you observe your disposition, the function of your eyes, of your mind, of this combination of so many systems, the digestive system, the nervous system, the respiratory system, the cardiac, you have so many systems working all together, and you say, oh, it was just an accident. Everything happened just by chance. It's such a weird idea. If you think about it, nobody will accept it as true. It's just like if I tell you, oh, by the way, I was walking in the middle of nowhere in this desert, and I found a Ferrari there. Yeah. And I don't know how it happened. It just, over the course of so many millennia and millions of years, the wind, blew so hard there, so fast. And also some rain from time to time, and the engine was formed, and, these different parts, the wheels, etc. And all of a sudden, not just that, it started itself. It started moving, and it's a Ferrari. Well, my body is more complicated, more complex than any car, any engine ever invented by a human being. My brain is the most complicated artifact in the universe. In the universe. There's nothing as complicated as the human brain in the universe, anywhere you look. Yet there are people that say, well, it just happened by chance, over the course. There are no scientific explanation of how life arose on Earth. There's no absolutely scientific. Yeah, because we pass from, dirt to bacteria. How did it happen? There's no answer until today, even in evolutionary terms. So the deen comes from dain, one of the etymological, roots of the word deen is this debt that I owe to Creator. I was born, but I was born through a lot of phases. I didn't know anything when I was in the womb of my mother. I didn't have any physical capacity, any intellectual capacity. All these forces that Allah has put in me, the Creator has embedded in me, they'll come from somebody. And then you are born, and through your childhood, you have this innate inclination to recognize that it didn't come from nowhere or nobody. Any child, you talk to them, you say, oh, you know that there are people that say that everything you see, all this complex universe, nature, the sun, the moon, all these sunrises, sunsets, beauty all around you came from nothing. Nobody created it. He will laugh. I tried this with kids. I tried it with my own daughter. And she was like, what? I swear to you, she said to me when she was younger, 6 years old, 7 years, I was having a casual conversation with her. She said, are there people that will say that? Really? I said, yes. Because as kids, we have this innocence. And it's the lack of that innocence that pushes us towards ingratitude. And pushes us towards denying the debt you owe to somebody. It's like you owe somebody something, and after a while you come to that guy and say, well, forget about it. I don't owe you anything. That's not very innocent, And that's why any child, you talk to them and you say, oh, you know that there are people that say that everything you see, all this complex universe, nature, the sun, the moon, all these sunrises, sunsets, beauty all around you came from nothing. Nobody created it. He will laugh. I tried this with kids. I tried it with my own daughter. And she was like, what? I swear to you, she said to me when she was younger, 6 years old, 7 years, I was having a casual conversation with her. She said, are there people that will say that? Really? It's covered, and we suffer this kind of amnesia. Yeah. So coming back to your question, why the need for religion? First of all, the question is debatable because we don't use the same word. We use the deen. Religion is a very, from the point of view of Westerners, or especially in Europe, maybe not so in the US for historical reasons, but in Europe, religion has become a word connected with the church. And throughout the Middle Ages and later, etc., up until the 20th century, the church has not behaved in the best manner possible and absolutely didn't reflect the initial message of Jesus, which is the original message. Yep. So when we come to the word deen, we need it because we are in debt, because there is an undeniable hunger in the human being towards the divine, towards the transcendental. The human being is a spiritual being. There's this thinker that said there's a hole in the heart of a human being that nothing can fill except God. There's a hole, there's a void, there's a vacuum. And that vacuum, we have that in Islam, Al-qalbu mahallu naw'illah. The heart is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focuses. Yeah? Allah doesn't look at your shape, your color, your body. Are you tall? Are you short? Are you rich? Are you blonde? That's superficial. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focuses on your heart and your actions. These are the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He doesn't look at your shapes and bodies. He looks at your heart and your actions. That's the most important thing. So there is an undeniable inclination. Even geneticists or scientists that are investigating genetics, they talk about the God gene. It's in our DNA to believe in God. Now the only thing that's up to you is whether you fill that void or just leave it unattended. It's whether you believe in the true God that really created you, or you choose other things to believe in. You worship a mountain, or you worship a tree, or you worship a stone, or you worship another human being. You worship creation instead of worshiping the Creator. So that's the singularity of Islam. The singularity of Islam is that it has complete monotheism, tawheed to the utmost level. And we start with almost an atheist affirmation, which is La ilaha. There's no God except Allah, illallah. There's absolutely nobody, nothing worthy of worship except the one who created us. So this is the singularity of Islam, and that's the part that so many people are kept from discovering, because there's an agenda worldwide to keep us from looking into the core of Islam. We are so mesmerized by other things, these dialogues about hijab, about politics, about, so many different topics, but we don't talk about the core topics, which are existential topics. That are the answers to the big questions that any human being at some point of his life, if not all the time, will have, which are, who I am, who am I? What am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Is it just the atoms that conform me? Am I just a sum of the particles that constitute my body? No human being, I don't care how atheist you are, I don't care how an ideologue of atheism you are, you will not accept that idea. Deep down in your heart, you're not accepting that idea. You might say it, but you're lying. In your mind, your heart, you're not thinking, I am just my particles of water, of, this and that, and that's it. Any human being talks about something beyond the body. Call it consciousness. Nowadays, they're using these euphemisms, instead of using the word soul, because it became a dirty word. It's unscientific to talk about soul. But they came up with another word, which is consciousness. Define consciousness to me. Ask that any scientist, he's not going to be able to give you a very precise definition of what he means by consciousness, because he means the same thing as soul. And as Muslims, even the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the soul, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They ask you about the soul. Say, the soul is a matter of my Lord, and you have not been given except tiny fraction of knowledge. You don't have the knowledge to know what the soul is. So we have just covered these terms, these concepts, but by new words, new terminology, but we're still talking about the same questions that have occupied the human beings for millennia. And the human being has been a religious, between parentheses, a religious being up until the 20th century, 19th century. So 99% of our history, we have been people with consciousness towards God. And now we have this anomaly, this not normal period of time in which the human being has rebelled and said, oh no, we're no longer gonna believe in God. Well, let's see where that is gonna lead us. We can talk about where that has led us so far.